Well, hello and welcome to this Fotospeed video with me, Tim Jones, Mr. Sam Gregory here,
hello.
And then also Mr. Julian Baird as well.
Hi.
So, we've been talking a lot about photography today and projects we've been all doing and how we go about editing things. And we thought it'd be really interesting to introduce a new project that Sam's been working on.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a departure really. And I suppose it's very easy to get put into or be recognised for doing certain work. I suppose that's the thing, isn't it? I think of myself as a photographer. It just so happens the majority of what I've put out there has been more in the landscape in terms of how I present myself, but I do enjoy shooting other things. So this is a project, hopefully you'll be able to see some images out there on the overhead cam, but this is documenting my football team's travels in the non-league. I nearly said travails because it has been a difficult 30 years for us. So just very briefly, I am an Oldham Athletic fan for my sins. Oldham Athletic founder members of the Premier League 30 years ago, and they're now dossing around in non-league football.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I decided I wanted to take my camera out and document Oldham playing in these non-league grounds and just kind of to get a bit of the atmosphere. And that's why we just printed a few of the images from the sort of project. Documenting non-league, it's really interesting to see how some of these stadiums sit in their wider environments in the towns they're in. This is Southend, for example, which they've been in the news recently because they've been served a winding up order. There's all sorts of scandal around the redevelopment of the ground, which hasn't happened. You can see here there's builders and there's all sorts of chaos. So it's been quite fun for me just doing something that isn't landscape, basically. but still something I love. I think that's what it comes down to. You have to shoot things you care about.
Yeah, and I think they look great and things. I mean, I suppose...
What possessed you?
No, I suppose what bit kind of equipment kind of thing, but what camera are you using to kind of... Because I know I shoot with a tiny little camera when I'm doing kind of stuff like this, so it's...
Yeah, so there is a bit of a mix, but some of it is mainly with the Nikon Z6. So that's the one I try to take out most of the time, actually, with just a little small prime lens. Because you're right, you're in and around the people. And I would say, I mean, like you, Julian, I spend most of my time shooting outdoors on my own. I like the fact I'm on my own. And it has been a bit of a weird, although I've worked commercially in crowds, I'm there as the photographer with a thing saying I'm the photographer and I feel comfortable with that. But when you're just one of the crowd, suddenly whipping your camera out, you've done street as well and you're not used to doing it like I'm not used to doing it. It's been a bit uncomfortable. So I've had to sort of find my way with that.
So look at this picture in particular. Someone's obviously maybe just missed a scoring opportunity there.
So 93rd minute, we've just missed the chance to equalise.
Dear. So you're there, you're a fan of the team.
I am.
So you're watching, I guess you're still watching the game quite intently. So how do you balance that desire to think, I want to document my football club, but equally enjoy the game at the same time?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm probably enjoying the games too much and not doing enough thinking about the photography more often than not. But just because it's not my mindset to work in this way. But you're right, you have to be aware of what's going on around you. I find myself milling in and around the crowds to see interesting things that are going on. For example, these lads here, this is at Maidenhead, which actually is the oldest known continuously used football ground recognised by the FA. And this is basically what my view was to the left. So for £20, I got this view. And then on my right, I could see these guys. So this is the kind of the views of where I was basically split like this. But this is quite funny because Oldham were recently taken into nearly into administration last year. And they were bought out by a local business owner, a gentleman called Frank Rothwell, who's a businessman made good from the area, but he always wears a flat cap. So now on the terraces, there's all these teenage lads wearing flat caps supporting Oldham Athletic. And this one in particular, I just love the way the light fell on the flag, and these two are kind of buddies with their flat caps, and it worked really nicely for that. But you've just got to be aware of what's going on around you, a bit like street photography or whatever it may be. So it's been a learning curve for sure.
Yeah, I think it's... Have you got... How much have you done of this?
Yeah, so the season started in August at Torquay, which was actually this shot here, 27 degrees watching football. Who would have thought it? As an Oldham fan, that's weird. And we're recording this in March, so we're sort of 2/3 of the way through the season. I've had some interruptions, haven't been able to get to all the games I'd like to, so I'm going to roll it into next year, and it'll become a 2 or 3 year project. We were talking about a project costing money. This is one that's definitely never going to make
it. If you went to the away games, that's you're a committed fan.
I am a committed. Yeah. I should be committed. That's maybe something else. But certainly, it's not a money maker. No. It's a passion. Yeah. It's a love. And I just thought, well, I want to do it.
I think there's a big interest. I do know a couple of people who've done similar things. Friends of mine on courses and things like that. But I think there's always interest in it.
Yeah, hopefully if there's enough.
And it's just, I quite like it. So
okay, well, I like it. He's going to buy the book anyway.
I suppose it's my thing, isn't it? It's kind of, but it's.
I was going to come on to that. I mean, I know they're a small club. I'm not trying to be offensive.
No, go for it.
I would imagine the away crowds are probably quite small. I mean, have you got to know some of the personalities? Because I imagine all football clubs have their personalities, the fans. Yeah. Are you getting to know some of these people and are you building relationships with them? And is that helping you shape the photographs that you take?
Yeah, slowly but surely. There's just a little small group of people now who I recognise and start to talk to. And you're right, that would be the way to actually take it to the next level, would be to be more ingrained with the fans, following them in their travels as well. That would also ramp up the costs and the time implications, which is the challenge. But you're absolutely right, and they would be more comfortable if I'm shooting around them and they'd know what I'm doing and all the rest of it. So, but I think that's a long process. You need to build that trust over a period of time. And you're right, the crowds, we take between 250 and 1,000 to away games, depending on where the game is. And a lot of Oldham fans actually live in the south because we were more famous in those Premier League years. So there are fans who've fanned out as well, spread out across the country. But yeah, you're right as well, Tim. It's nothing groundbreakingly new doing a project about football, following a football team. But I think for me, the motivation is just to document our story now. And that's what makes it
I didn't mean perhaps. It like
that. No, you're right. And actually, in fact, there's a chap called Martin Anderson who did one about Tottenham Hotspur, who actually interviewed on a podcast they used to do. And that's Can't Smile Without You. That's an absolutely fantastic body of work over 7 or 8 years. But that was following Tottenham in Europe and at their games. And for me, the non-league character of football is still what I love about football. Small grounds, guys who know each other and girls and kids and families now. It's fantastic to see. But the same crowds going into these small towns, small stadiums, corrugated roofs. That's what football is for me. It's not 80,000 seater stadiums. If anything else, I'm trying to capture that moment a bit as well.
Yeah, when you think about it, it's this picture, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's kind of, that's the roots
non-league.
Of it. Yeah. It's kind of, it's great. I think it's...
it's nice taking a variety of different shots. I mean, obviously, a football club is made up by the people that follow and support it and play for it, but images like that one you've taken there of Torquay and the ground and it's an environment.
Yeah.
Are you deliberately trying to take a mix, or is it just you see these things and you think that'll add a element of interest?
Yeah, it's a really good point. I am trying to capture a little bit of a mix. I started with a broader thing. I was actually going to document more around the town. So then I kind of thought, how am I trying to do all of this in a day? It's way too much to shoot. So it really is concentrating now on this in and around the stadium, just, that sort of perimeter of the stadium and how it sits in its environment, and then what might be unfolding in the stands, because not much is unfolding on the pitch, to be honest, but what might be unfolding in the stands or interesting characters, etc. So that has finessed as I've gone on through the work, basically. Yeah,
that's great.
And actually, we should mention these are printed on Platinum Brighter, which I think personally works really well for these. I'm normally a matte paper guy, but I think with this it's a bit different. So.
Yeah, I think it just suits it. I don't know if it's because of they're quite Parr-esque, aren't they? Martin Parr-esque kind of thing. Especially kind of they are. I mean, you've got the back of the people's heads. I mean, that's just I love that. and this chap over here and things. It's that kind of thing, and you think of that print, and the Brighter just lends itself really nicely. We think of Brighter as a black and white paper. But actually, colour-wise, we've printed a few today, actually, haven't we?
Yeah.
Probably videos you're going to see over the few weeks and things. But, I mean, it does colour.
Really punchy, don't they?
Yeah, yeah. And actually, just as a final thought before we wrap this up, it's interesting about taking pictures of people. I mentioned I have a slight, I don't particularly like getting in people's faces with a camera, that's for sure. That's just my feeling about it, especially not if I'm not there as a paid photographer. But so I kind of realised I was going to have to take this slightly fly-on-the-wall approach so that I felt comfortable, and also I would not want anyone seeing these to be uncomfortable with being in them. So I don't have any desire to to poke fun, or even not even poke fun, but find the hilarity in that.
Yeah.
But it is an interesting topic about that. Generally, shooting people or not.
If you look at these three pictures, you can't see anyone's faces, but that doesn't detract from the picture. You're still telling the story, and
that's the challenge, I think.
this one in particular,
But
it
exactly
says so
what's
much
going on.
about what's happening, what's going on, and you don't see anyone's face.
Yeah,
So
it's just the anguish of 30 years of supporting Oldham Athletic in one picture.
And then the disappointment here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
or the boredom or something. Nothing's happened for a while.
This is where we fall into.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, hopefully it's interesting.
No, I think it certainly is. Yeah, I just want to see more.
Yeah.
So maybe we will.
Yeah, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah,
When
and
you're
everyone out
finished.
there, keep up, support Oldham Athletic. When you see the results
Someone
on
has to
TV
do
now.
it.
Yeah.
But you put these on your website, don't you?
Yes, they're on the website.
Yeah.
They're on the website. Yeah, so you can see more of the
We'll
work.
put a link in the description.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Cool.
Fantastic. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's been great. See all these. I'm quite intrigued. I can't take my eyes off them. Anyway, so I hope you're inspired by that as well. And like Sam said, the paper we used here was Platinum Brighter. So absolutely fantastic. I think really suited these prints really nicely. So before we finish, a little bit of housekeeping as always. Don't forget to subscribe to the Fotospeed YouTube channel. And also sign up to our newsletter on photospeed.com for exclusive offers and all the news from Fotospeed. And also don't forget the Fotospeed Art of Printing that you can download from photospeed.com as well. It's the free ebook covering everything in printing you could possibly think of. So get downloading. And also don't forget we release a new video every Thursday on the Fotospeed YouTube channel. So don't forget to subscribe. And on that note, I'll see you next Thursday.
Thanks very much.
Bye.